Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the Good Morning Education Show this morning. I am Kimberly Paladin and I'm holding forth for your regular host, Rotimi A. Tayo. Good morning, Mrs. Adewusi. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We apologize for starting quite late this morning. It's been raining cats and dogs in Lagos, and so I had a little issue settling down on time. But we're happy to be here. We're happy to be on the show this morning to connect with you again. And no matter, despite what the weather is saying, it's a beautiful weather, actually wet, rainy, but it's a beautiful weather all the same. We are happy to be here and to bring to you your regular and your favorite education show this morning. Good morning, Mrs. Adewusi.
Good morning, Fee. Nice to have you. I didn't know you're in Lagos.
Yes, I'm in Lagos.
Been in
I'm
Lagos
in
for a long
Lagos. Well, yeah, been, yes, for some days now. Yes, I have been in Lagos. I've been keeping that information away, right? I just say good morning from Nigeria, good morning world. But yeah, this morning it is good morning from Lagos.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, everyone joining us. Good morning, Fa Ongara. It's good morning. Thank you for joining us on the Good Morning Education Show.
Okay, so we've lost some time. I think it's just we should just go right into the discussion this morning. We will be skipping the headlines and going into our discussion this morning. We will be talking about plagiarism and dishonesty. Is there a point of convergence between plagiarism and dishonesty? Is the school system training the students to plagiarize? Is the school system training students to be creative in their thinking, in report writing, in research, and in turning in assignments, in thinking deep? That's all of that is what we will be considering this morning. So I think I should allow you to give us your opening thoughts on the topic this morning.
Okay, I think the first definition of what really is plagiarism. It's really presenting someone's work as your own. Without their consent or without acknowledging them. So let's imagine that you're in church and the pastor gives one fantastic quote, or and you find out that really touched you, and then the next day you go on social media and put that same quote without acknowledging that it was not your original idea. you know. So I think it's important that we help people recognize that it's okay to use from people, but you must recognize who the source is. It's the same thing. It's the same if a musician goes and sings a song that was written by someone else. He needs to just, recognize that. So you find out that when you do music albums sung by a lot of popular people, when you actually buy, you find out it's written by they sung it. It's the same thing with YouTube. When you go and take some YouTube video, you can get blocked if you don't recognize, if you don't acknowledge. And I think it's important. It's almost like it's like it's like stealing now. It's just stealing of words. It's stealing of words. I think you need to acknowledge the people that did. It's like writing a book. You need to acknowledge all the people that contributed. And I think it's only right. That that's for me. That's like I start the beginning. Really right to recognize um, that people contributed to this. Now, if you're a company and then you put the company's name, then it's different because it becomes a group of people. But if it's you, an individual, and you're taking part and parcel from people, you should you should recognize them. You have a lot of background noise.
It's raining actually, and um, there's a lot of sound. I can hear that myself. So what I'll do is when I'm not speaking, I'll have my mic muted. There's a lot of sound of rain noise coming into the room. Ugochi, you're welcome. I hope you can hear me clearly though.
Good
Yes, I can.
morning.
Okay,
I can hear you
perfect.
clearly.
All right. You're welcome, Gucci. So this morning we're talking about plagiarism and dishonesty and the effects it has on students, the effects that are we training our students? Are we training um, children to plagiarize, or we're giving them room to exercise their creativity, to exercise their research skills, to exercise their report writing skills as much as they can. Yeah, and we've had a very good introduction by Zadeusi. Yes, the children don't know everything. Yes, even we as adults don't know everything. There are times that yes, we have to make reference, but how do we acknowledge our point of reference? Um, is there a drive? Is there a push? Is there pressure to appear all knowing, to appear so smart, so intelligent that we are not that children or students generally all across the levels of education, that students really would copy somebody else's work, lift it, and give um would not acknowledge their reference. Ugochi, what's your thoughts on this?
Okay, so I think that it's usually when children get into secondary school that there is now some, should I say, efforts towards them crediting their sources. So for example, when you need to maybe do a debate and you have to get a quote from someone, so that's just the time that it seems like, oh, you need to quote a reference. Then it's when you actually get into the university that there is some emphasis. In fact, it's when you want to write a project that there is some emphasis on accrediting sources. So I think that we need to flip the way things are done. We need to make it start early. That children should understand that, oh, when you say what someone has already said, what someone has written, you should be able to reference that, oh, it was according to so and so, so that people know that it's not me. It makes it, should I say, people get used to acknowledging. And again, I think the reason it has to start early is because the academic is not something that people want it to be all knowing. If we check all the articles from various scholars, it's always a combination of people's work. Then they will now present their unique perspective. Nobody expects you to write a whole paper without reference to someone. It's not nobody expects you to do that. So once that that idea is communicated early to young people, that in the academia there's a lot of collaboration. You don't need to know everything. You can research to know what someone said about and then bring your own perspective to it. It makes it easy that, okay, growing up, people know that it's not only when you want, you need to reference someone. Even when you are doing assignments and you have to get thoughts from other people, that you should be willing to make those references. So it makes it so that when you are doing your research and find out information from other people, they are also ready to, should I say, accredit their sources, because it gives you
Okay, thank you, Ugochi. I'm not sure if you're done yet, but I'm not hearing you anymore. I hope this
I'm
is
done.
not the internet. Oh, okay, okay. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Okay, so yesterday we talked about pair collaboration and how students can help each other. Is there a way that what's the relationship between that kind of peer relationship and avoiding plagiarism? Let's hear from Ms. Adewuse first.
No, I didn't get the question. What's the what?
Is there a way that, when we have peer support in the classroom and students have assignments or they have mini projects to work on, is this a good point to begin to introduce to them, the importance of referencing sources, collaborating together, and understanding that you can
Can you
draw
say
resources from each other.
Good
Can you hear
consent.
me?
Yes, I can hear. I think it
okay?
is.
I can hear you now.
Okay, I
Okay.
think it is. Well, so what as soon as possible. Honestly, I don't even think we need to wait to secondary school. As soon as possible, we need to tell children, because in primary school they are already doing research. In primary school these days, they tell them to go and do a bit of research. So it's important to let them know that once something is not the original idea, they need to just put source. I got this from this person, or put it in quotes to show that it was someone else that said this, and it could even be their friend. You find that they will enjoy doing that. Oh, quotes by Miss Fee. It to them will now be something fun. Or quote, it was Toby that said this. So it's something that if they start early, to let them know as they work together, just say, oh, if it was someone's wonderful idea, you can just acknowledge that person in your report. The kids will enjoy that. And so that's a way of just letting them know from an early age that they need to they need to recognize whatever someone contributed as the person's contribution. And once they start that way, then they would understand that it's something that they should be doing. That's what I would say. Hello. Oh.
I can hear you. I think
Okay.
she's frozen.
Okay. 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 Safety chick, what are your own thoughts on that?
On what exactly? I think I missed the question when she was asking it.
Okay, she was saying that it is it a good point when children start doing projects together? Okay, he's back.
Yeah, I lost connection a bit for back there.
Okay, so I was just trying to ask safety chick the same question you have said, but now that you're here, you can go ahead.
Okay. Your audio is quite low though. I'm barely hearing you. But okay, so Ugochi, what do you think is the role of schools in preparing students for research skills?
Okay, so schools play a pivotal role in that because it's in schools that we first have to have our assignments and term papers and projects and things like that. So I think that schools should ensure that it is done from an early class, and they should also tell the children the modalities. The same way when you want to write an English essay, then your teacher will tell you that they are going to check punctuation, they're going to check structure, they're going to check content, and each one so and so much. Yeah, so it should be that when they give them this assignment, they will let them know that your assignment is worth so and so marks. If you accredit your sources, it also gets so and so marks, so that children begin to know that, okay, a good writing or a good assignment also has, should I say, it has a place for you to accredit your sources. and it makes it part of them that, okay, when we have to write something, you must accredit whoever you got information from. So it might look like something little, but it is subconsciously rewiring their minds on how to go about work, where you have to do research and get information from other people. And once they have that, growing up in different classes, it just becomes a part of them. For example, now, even though you don't like to write, we all know that every good writing should, as much as possible, free from grammatical and spelling error. We all know, because somehow we've heard that over and over again growing up. So it's now second nature. So whereas not every time would people fulfill it, but they know it is the right thing to do. And that's what we want. We want to make it become a known factor that when you are writing, you are researching, you must be willing to accredit the sources you got information from. So when we make it like second nature, it's now it's easy for children to carry it over into various areas of their lives.
Okay, thank you, Ugochi. So, when I did a master's degree some time ago, there was this um, there was this system of checking for plagiarism. So before we submit any assignment, it goes through Turnitin to check the level of borrowed materials that you have. Do we have a system, or should we put in place a system to check this? Not, there are times that things are lifted. Some of the very interesting things you find in secondary school is, so somebody copies another person's assignment, and they copy it so much that they even copy the person's name and add it to their own paper and turn that in. So should we have a system where teachers now in the secondary school, and then in the universities or other higher institutions, where lecturers can check, or how they can check to know that, look, we expect you to do this work, we expect you to consult other literature, we expect you to review other literature, but you have taken this amount of borrowed literature, and if you're taking up to 50% of borrowed literature and passing it off as your own, then you really have not done so much work. We're not really encouraged. We're still coming to the other part of this discussion, which is the dishonesty part of it, and preparing um, children, students for a life of honesty. But should we have a system in place to check the level or the amount of borrowed literature that students take into their work? Ugochi, would you like to go first on that?
Okay, so I think that there is a system, there is a way, I don't know, I think there is a website where you can copy a few words from a text and put it on there, and then it tells you um who exactly has said those words before. Just that at the moment now, it skips my mind which one, but I know I've heard someone mention it to me very recently, because it was a conversation we're having and then that came up. So I've heard it mentioned that there's actually something like that, and so that's why most especially schools outside the country, it's easy for them to spot plagiarism, because there is that tool, that can be used to check. Now for here, I'm not sure how what tool is used by schools, teachers, or lecturers here. And I don't know how many people are willing to go through the stress in quotes. The stress in quote of checking that someone's one, because I've heard cases where someone went to the library in the university and went to go and look for an old project, then just going to copy everything and just change the cover, put their name and submitted, and they passed. So if that happened in the same department, what does that say? That says that maybe some people don't, some people are not even checking, or they thought it was new material, and that means they were not even aware of maybe what has been passed in their department before, or that means nobody checked it. So it just shows that there are some loopholes here and there. So I'm not sure what exact tool that we have here, and then if there is also the willingness to check. I know that many times when people demonstrate a willingness, it is when they know that maybe the work is going out of the country, and because they know that those ones are more, should I say, more strict about things like that. But then I again, that's why I'm saying I'm not sure, because it is possible that such a tool exists, but then not everybody is leveraging it as much as possible. Because I want to believe that it is out there. I mean, if we know that it's we know it exists for people to use outside the country, and I'm sure there's no rule that says it's for only those outside the country. It's for everyone to use. So it's not going to be, what is the willingness of our lecturers to use it? Would they think it is time wasting? They have other things to do. Do you see? So that's where the challenge would be, where if they are willing to make use of the tools available to check.
Thank you so much. Yes, considering the fact that maybe in an average secondary school class, you could have up to 20 students. In some there are less, in some there are more, especially when you go to government secondary schools. And then you have, especially in the language subjects, where you have a lot of writing. I'm wondering how many teachers, would it be effective? Would we be expecting too much of teachers to actually go through the scripts of, if they have to do that manually? Because really, like you said, I'm not very certain there's a system that we use here to check. All we want to what the teacher would usually, the manual form of checking your assignment. There was this joke sometime that a teacher marked an essay and asked a child, your assignment, your essay on your dog matches what this person wrote, and the boy said yes. The other person is my brother, so we wrote about the same dog. But actually, that was him just copying the other assignment. So I'd like to find out from Mr. Dewusi, when children, when we have cases of plagiarism, and it's not handled, we don't address it. Are we training children or our students or our young people to be dishonest in life as they go forward? Are we training them to take things that don't belong to them and pass it off as their own? Now, not just intellectual property, but in every other aspect of their life. What's the point of convergence between plagiarism and dishonesty?
Um, that sometimes there's what we call accidental plagiarism. So where people don't know any better. So that's just what it is. But what we started talking about is being intentional in letting people know that you need to give honor to whom honor is due. And as we said, let's start as early as possible, because you also want them to be in a place where, imagine the reverse. It's like writing a fantastic song. You go and give it to Finn. The next thing, Finn goes to win a competition with that song. How would you feel? Can you see? Okay, so when you put things in the reverse, then people begin to understand how dishonest this is, especially if Finn wrote says this song was written and produced by me. If she even just sings the song, there's an implied, it's subtly implied that she wrote it. But if she then goes out to say, I wrote and produced, then that's outright dishonesty. So for me, it's letting them understand that a lot of students are lazy. We just want to, which is the reason why people go and take that report and copy it. So it's not with any I don't want to say it's not with an evil intent. It's just student laziness. They want to give you an essay. There are actually places where you can go online for them to write your essay for you, for your homework and your assignment. So it's a bit of the laziness that's what makes students go and just take someone else's project. When you feel the someone's project is exactly the top, you just remove the cover pages and do that. So it's not with, as I said, it's not with the evil intent of outright plagiarism. It's just more of the laziness and not realizing that that your laziness to the answer is not what it is. Remember that the objective of projects, the objective of homework and assignment is a learning process. It's not really for you to for the grade. So once we can de-emphasize that, it will reduce the pressure and maybe make people do more of their work. And then the fact that you make it okay to collect parts of people's research. It's like it's okay. The only thing that we are saying is just acknowledge the person. It needs to be something that is part and parcel of everything that we do. It's the same thing if I go and take something that Safety Chick an infographics from her side, and I just cut out all the Safety Chick thing and just put it there. Just put it on my own handle. It gives the silent. It's almost implied that I did the original work if I don't reference it. So it's a bit. It can be a bit dishonest, and we need to let people know it is if you don't recognize the person that the originator from it, especially if the originator put their name. So for me, it's just letting people know that the objective of homeworks and assignments is not really the end. Should not be about getting an A. It's really meant to be is a learning process. And anything you do, acknowledge people, because if it's you as well, you would want to be acknowledged. So the outright dishonesty for me now starts coming when you go and present that as your own. Present it as your own intentionally and cut out all, especially if it was something that you are getting the glory. Let me give an example. So the example I give about the song, where you go take someone else's song without telling them and go and say I wrote and produced this song, then it becomes outright or you take someone else's poem and then you put at the end written by you. So this is now become outright dishonesty. So it's important that we let people know a lot of plagiarism, whether it's accidental or not, is a bit of dishonesty when you are taking glory for something that is not yours, and we shouldn't do that. So I think for me that's really what it is. But for some people, they don't know, they're not aware when they go and put people's quotes and put their name underneath. They're not. Some people, it's ignorance. But of course, the law says that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. But we just need to educate people early, and once you go and take a quote that is obviously someone's quote and you put your name, or you take someone's infographics and cut off the person's logo at the beginning, their name at the end, and then put it as some people start hailing you, and so that sometimes you might do that, and you feel okay. I'm not saying it's my own. Then people start hailing you. Oh, this your research is so on point. This is at that point you are dishonest if you don't come back to say, but I'm yes, thank you for the comment, but the original research was done by, and that's what a lot of things on social media they're trying to stop against. We find out on Facebook, on YouTube, on whatever. If you do certain things that is not originally yours and you don't like repost or acknowledge or refer, they pull down that video or ban you for a while. I mean, there was something we did in my church. So we took a video from whatever, and once you did not acknowledge, the source of it, they just, YouTube just bans you. And it's just that thing of encouraging people to, recognize the original creator of anything. They're not saying don't use it, but they're saying recognize the original creator of the content. Don't just make it seem as if it's yours, because once you use it, it's almost implied. People would almost assume it's yours. Okay, we have Ifyok with us. Let me hand over to you.
Yes.
Hello, good morning.
So while
Hi,
you were
Ifya.
talking, Miss Ifyok walked in, and yesterday the UAE was in Lagos, and Lagos was in the UAE. Somehow we made that
Yeah.
happen. You're welcome this
Thank
morning.
you. Thank you. It's great to be home.
Okay, so let's let the others in. So yesterday we met Ifyok, and
Oh my God.
it was a beautiful reunion? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that.
It
Yeah.
was a beautiful time meeting her and seeing her live in person. It was like we should actually have a show at that moment and have the three of us in the room together. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you're
it
welcome.
was lovely. It was lovely.
I
Hi,
hope you're
Titi.
enjoying Lagos so far.
Chi.
I don't want to beef here
Nice.
for reunion that we are not. I'm just keeping quiet. But there's silent beefs on my side.
Oh my
There's reunion.
goodness.
You are not invited. Thank you.
It just I just how do I don't want to say I bumped into, but no, it was on my way going home, and I was gonna just say this morning that I'm in town, and so yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So you're welcome. Thank you for joining us in the discussion this morning. We're talking about
Sure, sure.
plagiarism and dishonesty. And
Mm-hmm.
before
Eh,
we,
See, there's a comment from Olumide, Olushola
yes,
Olumide.
I was just going to say before we take, if your thoughts on that, we'll take Olumide Olushola's comments. So he says not checking for plagiarism is bad enough. The greater evil that has befalling our higher institution is for some lecturers to demand to write for students for money. Yes, I think that is
So
taking it a notch higher.
another
And
level, yes.
you find out that what the lecturers are actually collecting money for is sometimes not even their own original content.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just collecting money to steal or to pass on somebody else's work to a student. And so at this point, is our education system actually in support of this dishonesty? Is our system in support of intellectual laziness? If you're, what do you think?
So
Yes.
I think to a large extent it's a question of principles, and I would say, as it stands now, I would say yes, because everything that is happening is working towards supporting plagiarism. It's towards supporting dishonesty, and it starts from just um, little things like changing attendance in class, or little things as, okay, buy this handout, and the handout you're selling to the children or selling to students is not even your work. I have had lecturers approach me when I was in school and say, okay, here, this is an assignment, write up this assignment. And that assignment, with clear heart, or honest heart. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm helping him with his, his project and all of that. And I find that that assignment is mass produced and sold to year one students. This is me in my final year doing my projects and all of that. And at the end
Wow.
of the day, this is my work. This is my sweat. This is my everything. And it's sold, mass produced as, as a handout for a course. And so just imagine me in that situation now. When if in event I turn out to be a lecturer, am I not going to follow in my lecturer's footsteps? So I think it's something that has been handed down, and over time, as people leave the university or go have children and all of that, it's passed on. So I would say to a large extent, yes. But that being said, it's not a lost cause. I think that we need to go back to or find where does it all start. And I think it all starts with the matter of honesty in little things. The little things of, okay, who has this, whose book is this? Oh, it's not mine, it's hers. Those basic, I think I would say foundation. I think it's a foundational problem that if we do not nip in the bud, then we should not be surprised when we see even the lecturers support it.
Yes, so it's a foundational problem. It's an endemic systemic problem.
Yes.
And well, you have said that it's not all bleak. This can be salvaged. We can have we can have the situation not reversed, but we can have it get better. as we raise more students in the schools. Okay, so I would like to have everyone's thoughts on
Okay.
this. The pressure we put on students for grades, we really don't care to a larger extent. Parents really are not bothered about the application of the knowledge that the children are gaining. All they want to know is you're getting prizes, you're coming first. The school
Mm-hmm.
fees I'm paying, I'm getting results for it, and the result is in the grades. Could this pressure be one of the reasons why plagiarism is gaining a lot more ground? It seems like it has come to stay. Seems like it's a part of the academic cycle. That pressure, what can be done about it if it is part of the reasons? So I would like to go around, starting from Ugochi to if you can then to Mr. Wilson.
Okay, so yes, I think that pressure to pass is one of the things that forces people. People are no more thinking of anything; they just want to pass, and that's why we have things like special centers. We have things like parents paying for their children to get into certain special centers. So parents are also parties to it. So it's the pressure to you need to move to the next class as opposed to do you even know enough of what they're even saying in this class to move to the next class? And it shouldn't be. I think when we move the focus on the children and it's bad that because children know, they already know that when I did maybe common entrance, my parents did one moves like that. When I did junior WAEC, they did some, so they are expecting that the parents will do. So we shouldn't put such a mentality in our kids. We should teach them the values of working hard and getting a result. And that if you don't get the result, you do it again until you get a result. Because when children know that their parents are that strict, it makes them sit up by themselves. You don't even need cane because they have seen it happen before that in this house, if you don't pass, your parents won't care whether your classmate move to the next class. You will repeat so that you will learn what you need to learn. So it forces them to up their game to do well. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I would say that we need to try to remove the focus from passing exams per se to knowing, and again that too would also mean the way we handle our schooling system here, because there's so much pressure to you have to pass the exam. And that's why when you go and do certain courses in a foreign school, you'll be like, it's different. The focus more is on what you are learning as opposed to, and in fact they can even help you with should I say areas of concentration for you because they want you to pass the exam,
Yeah.
but the goal is not the exam. The goal is to know what you are being taught because that's what you would need when you go out in life and the things you need to do. So we need to change the focus so that we have more people interested in knowing, because when you now know, you will definitely pass. That's just the truth about it. So we should be focused on ensuring that learning really happens the conducive way and a memorable way that the children actually know, so that when they are now faced with exams, they can pass.
Thank you, Ugochi. So we should have more focus on applied knowledge as against head knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
over to
Um.
you, Ifya.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to add here that it is true that the pressure put on children to over or to perform contributes or could contribute to plagiarism, could contribute to different levels of academic of dishonesty, academic dishonesty. Okay, and it's not just plagiarism. There's a whole lot that can happen when a child feels under pressure to perform, to impress his or her parents, or to stand out among his or her peers, or to just be the shining light. There is a lot that can happen, and it starts from, oh, how do I pass this exam? Because I don't want my parents to kill me, or I don't want my parents to beat me. I don't want that, and then you start thinking of ways to substitute, and that's where we start hearing cheating in exams. You start hearing sometimes some children can even go out and say, daddy and mommy, I don't feel I do not feel ready for this exam, and you see parents contracting help us, in exam. I was talking to one of my friends yesterday whose child is doing exam and is preparing for JAM, and she was talking of, contractors or people who impersonate people, different levels of cheating actually, and this is dishonesty at work. So all this would not come into play. I don't believe it will come into play if everyone was relaxed and say, okay, the pressure is not on this child to pass exams in quotes. What's the child learning? And how is he or she using that learning, the little he or she has learned, how is he using it in his or her world? How is that learning useful to the individual? So when I feel that when that pressure is taken away, we will not have so much to deal with the dishonesty that we see in the academic sector today. I think another point for me is having that child understand that this is for me, this learning is for me, it's not for my parents, it's not for my sister, this is for my own good. And that I feel that will take away the laziness that we see, and that gets how do I put this, get results quick mentality is taking away the essence of hard work from children. So when they feel that, okay, you get away with something once, you feel, okay, I can always get away with it. That child is not going to spend time studying. That child is not going to spend time reading and investing in resources, investing time, energy to learn. What he or she will think of, okay, when it's exam time, I'll just sort. See, this is what happens in our society. When it's exam time, I'll copy. It's as simple as, I'm going to sit near you. I'm sitting next to you. I don't know if you remember this. It happens a lot. I'm sitting next to you. What happens to, can I study with you? I don't understand this. Can you show me? You hardly see that happen. But it's, this exam, I'm sitting next to you. So if a child understands that this exam, I want to be proud of my work, my effort. I want to be able to put in so much effort that when the results come out, I'm proud of it for myself. Then I think we'll be able to deal with that aspect of the pressure on children to perform.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Over to you, Titi.
I think everyone has said that we need to reduce the pressure. We need to focus. We need to let people know that the test is the test of the knowledge. It's not just a great thing. That would really help. And I think increasingly just encourage people to always acknowledge others who contributed to the success. It's easy for you to look at an organization, look at a person, and say, "Oh, that woman's business is successful," and think it's only one person. I think we must always all recognize that great things are never done by one person. Anything great is never done by one person. It's always a collection. So look at this vaccine, for instance, that has been created. It's a collection of so many brilliant minds coming together. So we must always encourage everyone to work together and reduce the pressure. I keep telling, when my son comes back and he's sad, I tell him that in the end, it's really what he's learned from it. So you didn't get the grade. That a lot of times a grade is a reflection of your discipline and determination in practicing. Sometimes not really about the knowledge. So you might know it, but you've not practiced that question enough. So you're not fast enough. The information is not flowing as fast back to you, which is why. But do you now understand it? It's always a question I ask. Do you now understand this topic? And I think that's really should always be the focus. Do you understand it? Have you acquired the skill? So the grade did not reflect. But if you continue to work at it, then the grade will reflect that. Rather than the other way around. So I think that's always should be it. It's really the skill. It's really the knowledge. Never the grade. And I one day I think we'll get there where this is emphasized, but we're not yet there yet. So it's always knowledge. And I like what Olumide Olushola is saying, and not everybody would achieve it at the same level. I always encourage my children and say, you see, some people are fishes, some people are birds, some people are elephants, some people are, the cheetah. The cheetah can only make noise on land. Let him go and try the fish in the water. So it's okay if you are not winning on land. Are you winning in the water? Shall win in one place, Sha. So I'm telling you, mine is you have something. It just might not be that. So if you go to someone else's place and the person is winning, it's fine. But if they teach you, I expect you to learn. But I don't really expect that you'd win on all on all ground. And so when you look at the other person and trying to compare yourself, I'm going to ask you, maybe that person is the cheater. So that's why he's winning on land. So don't lose sleep over it. So I agree with Olumide saying that, children are different. They're not equally endowed. As such, they will not learn or achieve the same level. So we should be more concerned about helping them put their best. Let them be willing to learn. As long as they are learning, as long as they are progressing, then that's fine.
Yeah. Can I say something on that, please?
Yes, please. In about 1 minute before we round up.
Sure. I'll just round up with this then. Every child is different. Every child learns differently. No two children learn the same way. So there should not be, and this is the problem I have with standardization with tests. No two children are developing at the same age. No two children are at the same stage of development. And so the way a child sees the world is different. So when you work with your child as a parent now, you need to see your child for who he or she is and encourage him or her to grow in his or her person. As a teacher, you need to also understand that, look, the child I'm teaching will not learn the same way as the other child. So how does your child learn? And that brings you to the different styles of learning. And that way you can support individual children to achieve and, achieve maximally. I'll end with that.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your contributions this morning. I hope that this discussion would go beyond what we have had here, and that we have changes occurring in our education sector, preparing children for research, preparing them to be intellectually active, productive, and reducing the pressure on them, understanding the individuality of every child and their learning style. We thank everyone who has joined us this morning. Thank you, Olushola Olumide. Thank you, Aramide Agbalaya. Thank you, Smart Ongara. Eunice Oluwashade. Thank you to everyone who has joined us. I hope I was able to go through all the names. Collins Ekere, thank you so much. Tomorrow we will be here again with another topic of another beautiful topic in our sector, moving it forward and preferring solutions. But before we go, we have something that we would like to say, and so wish you a beautiful day ahead. So let's take it, ladies.
It's always a great
a great
morning
morning on the
Good
Good
on the
Morning
Good
Morning
Morning
Education
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 Show.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye. Have a great
you.
day.
Bye.